Welcome back to the Remedial Film Class Podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
And I'm Travis.
And I'm George.
Hey, George. I don't do accents, but we just watched the weirdest accent movie you've ever seen.
Can I do it?
Yeah, please.
Say hello to my little friend. Say hello. Say hello to my little friend.
My diminutive companion. Oh my God. Guys.
Wait, what does he say? Mine. I love when he says mine instead of man. Mine.
I think
What
it's
accent is that?
Mang? Isn't it?
That's
Mang?
mine.
See,
Fuck you, mine.
we'll get into it, but I come to Scarface. We're watching Brian De Palma's Scarface. I come to this character via Grand Theft Auto and Razor Ramon from wrestling. So my filters for this movie are all messed up, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Razor Ramon. Holy shit.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
The bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, yo.
So, guys, George, Tim Burton's masterpiece, Scarface.
Yeah. Did he do it for you?
Who actually directed this?
You saw
Brian
the
De
movie?
Palma.
Yeah, Brian De Palma.
Oh, right, Brian De Palma.
You ever heard of Brian De Palma, George?
Yeah, of course.
Have you ever seen any of his movies before, George?
I believe so.
What have you seen?
I don't know. You showed me some stuff.
No, this is our first De Palma on the show.
So
Is
first
it
De
really?
Palma, yeah. He's been talking about.
Yeah,
watching
I've
it.
heard that name a bunch of times.
I
what
mean-
else does he do?
I think it's safe to say that we're not going to tell you any other movies he's done, because in the future, when you watch them, I mean, honestly, we could tell you all of his movies, and then when we go do them later, you'll be like, oh, this is Brian De Palma. Who's that?
Yeah, probably. You're right.
Yeah.
De Palma is
Nice.
probably in my top 5 American directors. I think consistency-wise, I might have him above Carpenter on my all-time list.
Hmm.
Like, De Palma kicks ass. And this is
Is that because of his body of work or for?
yeah, like I
'cause-
mean, he does a lot of movies that we're not going to talk about right now because I don't want to spoil it for George. But down the
Right.
road, he does movies that everything from like American giallo movies to like, supernatural horror to fucking spy movies. Like, and everything he
Yeah.
does, he nails it. I mean, mostly. And even this, which doesn't feel like a De Palma movie for most of the movie. If you've seen all his stuff, this seems like an outlier. His camera work and
Yeah.
stuff is so De Palma that if you were flipping through channels, you'd be like, hold on a second, I gotta go back. I know that split dioptra, like that's a Brian De Palma movie. Guys,
Yeah.
Scarface.
I was today years old when I found out that Oliver Stone wrote this friggin' movie.
I also
had
learned that
no
today, and I
idea.
had a reaction.
Yeah, I was definitely shocked when I saw his name because this movie's so iconic. Like whether you like it or not, it's so iconic that it's never come up.
Yeah, it's
That-
really interesting. And De Palma
he
gets
wrote
all the
this.
credit, and Pacino, but I didn't know till today either. It's funny you noticed that today too. George, did you like
Yeah.
Scarface straight off the top?
Nice.
What about you, Trav? Are you a Scarface guy?
This movie for me. Let me see. I'm 47. So when did this come out?
83?
83. Okay, so I was 7 years old when it came out. Or 8 years old. I didn't see it obviously when it came out. There was a lot of hype around it by the time I saw it, and I remember watching it when I was younger, and it just it hit me differently than it hit me recently. It's an okay movie. I think it's a bit of a mess, but a good mess, if that makes sense. Like it seems unpolished. The music doesn't fit a lot of the scenes. I think
We're going to talk about the music, though.
a lot of the
man.
things are awkward, like the dance scenes are very awkward. His character is very awkward. To me, I understand the following of this movie. A lot of gangster rappers love this movie. A lot of powerful people love this movie. But to show that rise and fall, I would rather watch like a Goodfellas or what's the other big gangster movie?
Godfather?
Yeah, The Godfather. That's why when I was watching, I was like, The Godfather's so much better. Like I would watch that back to back before I'd watch this again.
Look at how they massacred the opportunity to make another Godfather.
It is. It's like it's The Godfather, but for a different people, I guess, a different kind of mentality.
It's like a different energy level.
Yeah, it's not classy. It's Godfather without class. That's what I was thinking when I was watching it. Like you kind of, even though there's shitty characters in The Godfather, they're still likable.
Well, and even if they're not likable, they don't seem like out of place.
Right.
They're
Like-
evil, not. There's no flamboyance in The Godfather.
Right. And with this, it was like, it was well written, but it seemed like a lot of situations were forced. So, like, they're like, all right, we have these certain boxes we need to check just to establish who this guy is and how he gets to where he is and why he behaves the way he does. And it just seemed like there was a lot of plot holes that there wasn't like an even flow for me.
I'm going to blame
Like
it
when-
on the screenwriter. What do you think?
Yeah, you can do that probably. Like when you I know you don't like Goodfellas that much, but when you
That's
watch
fine.
Goodfellas,
It's long, but so is this.
but it has transitions, it has time jumps and stuff, but it's smooth. Like you see the progression, even if it's been 3 minutes between the time De Niro's character is 40 and when he's 60. There's like a 2-minute transition there. You still feel the gradation of the character. You feel the aging of the character. You feel all that in that 2 minutes.
Yeah.
With this, they kept saying 2 months later, 3 months later, a year later, whatever. But there wasn't any gradual growth. It was like all of a sudden he's powerful. All of a sudden everything's grand.
This movie just made me want to watch Blow.
Yeah, that's another one. It's better as well.
You know.
Yeah, it's basically the rise and fall of a
Yeah.
dictator in his own life. Like,
Yeah.
and it's been done many times, well or
Yeah.
not.
But this time it was kind of weird. Like, I feel like I should relate to the character more. I feel like that doesn't give a fuck kind of attitude, does whatever it takes risks, believes in himself. Like that's like a character that you
Right.
you want to get behind. And in the beginning, I mean you kind of do get behind him, but I think like about halfway through the movie,
He definitely loses you.
it's like he doesn't change, which I guess I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but like his don't give a fuck attitude is just and he's a nobody, like he's not part of the elite. And I feel like at some point someone with that kind of attitude just gets squashed.
Well,
I
don't know if you saw the end of the movie, but
I mean, let me say, long before
Yeah,
it gets to that point,
yeah.
he would be squashed.
well, but he did the thing, right? He was loyal to the most powerful guy in the room as long as he had to be until he could punch back, and he never did get big enough to take out the Sosa guy. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm not the hugest fan of Scarface. Like, out of De Palma's movies, it's probably in the middle of the pack for me.
Mhm.
I mean, it comes out in a time, guys, from 1980 to 1984, he directs 3 of my favorite American scary movies, Scarface, and the Dancing in the Dark music video that gave us Courtney Cox and the Carlton dance from Fresh Prince, guys.
Yeah, yeah.
And in the middle of all that, he does Scarface too. So like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's not better than any of those other things. But
Yeah.
for a 4-year period, that's pretty damn good production. And it's a fine movie. But I don't know if it's a good movie.
It's definitely on the list of movies you should have seen
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
as our premise.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
it might come up later as there are movies that are better that you should have seen.
Yeah.
Like I was kind of like, I'm watching the relationships. Like Michelle Pfeiffer's in this movie. She's
Mhm.
like 20.
Mhm.
She's smoking hot.
Mm-hmm.
But at no point in this movie is she hot. Like they try, like it's kind of like when you watch an Oliver Stone movie.
There was about 10 minutes right in the middle.
But she's just fucking a mess. She's a mess. He's a mess. Master Antonio's a mess. Like, every woman in this movie is a fucking train wreck.
Well,
it's like you can't even
yeah.
root for them. You don't want to root for anybody. They're all just shitty people.
My worst complaint about that was their relationship, right? So Scarface and what's her face? That's funny. Both face names. Scarface and what's her face?
Scarface and what's her face?
You know how like he was like
Same
always
last
trying to
name.
get. He was always trying to get her, and then like they get married, and you
Yeah,
know
he doesn't
like
want her.
he gets her, and then they get married, and then like the next scene he's in a bathtub and he's like treating her like fucking
Yeah,
dog shit.
That's
and
what I'm
like,
talking about.
Where did that come from?
Exactly.
The fly
can't,
pelican scene. I love fly pelican. So silly.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Like
Yeah.
that scene, it was like, all right, we have to have him in the bathtub. It's got to be a hot tub. It's got to be grand, show his bravado and all that stuff. And then let's show him verbally abusing her when there was no.
Verbally abusing everybody.
But I mean, there was nothing before that to even. Like, if you watch Wolves of Wall Street and stuff like that, where
Yeah.
that's the same shit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that character that DiCaprio plays is Tony Montana. He's the
Yeah.
same. He's the same character, but he's just being, he's an American version of that.
Yeah.
But they show the gradual depletion of the relationship. They show
Yes.
his shitty personality destroying everybody's life. Like, that movie is 1,000,000 times better than this movie.
But it
But
only
this is
covers
more
a smaller
famous.
period. I think that what this
Right.
movie needed, they didn't have this in 83 in the way that they do today with streaming. This should have been a 6 or 8 episode miniseries.
Mm.
In which case you flesh out all the stuff that you guys are complaining about missing. And then I think they could nail it. There are some abrupt changes, but they give you enough breadcrumbs that you can be like, oh, the theme of this movie is he's going to get everything he ever wanted and he's still not going to be happy.
Right.
And then, that
No, it's
happens.
the same as Henry from Goodfellas. Like, it's the same rise and fall, but and almost the same abrupt changes in character, personality, performance, situations. But it's so much better, so much well. I don't even know how to say it. It's done way better to the point where you don't feel jerked around. Like,
Yeah.
it's very gradual. Even these little transitions of character change.
Mm-hmm.
This movie, like you said, 1 minute he's getting married, and then all of a sudden he's verbally just destroying her in a room. Yeah, she's a cokehead, but
Yeah. So what? So
I'd
is
be a
he.
cokehead
So
too
is
if I had to
everybody.
live with his ass.
Well, and his sister's got kind of a similar situation going on with him too.
That's sister, but there's like a weird relationship there where it's like, are they? Like, the
So-
intimacy is weird. Like, there's
Yeah.
just so much weirdness in this movie where it's like, it's
Yeah,
almost like
that-
he wants her. But
That
it's just,
was
I don't know.
really weird, and like I think, I mean, obviously it's supposed to be. I read it as like protecting your sister, right?
Yeah, but the
But
it almost looked like,
Yeah,
like jealousy,
yes,
like
it
lover's
does.
jealousy.
It does look like jealousy, and I kind of feel like, at some point, because I have sisters, and like at some point, you just got to be like, let it go.
Yeah,
Like,
do you?
they're gonna do what they're gonna do.
And you might get a podcast out of it, so it's fine. Tony Montana should have had a podcast with his best buddy, the handsome, debonair, womanizing guy. I forget his name. And then they wouldn't have had to shoot him in the entryway of his house. Shit. The first
Yeah.
time I watched this movie, I did not see this until I was probably out of college before I bothered to watch it because it just never looked like something I would be into. I prefer my gangsters classy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sit down to watch it, get to that last scene, and the sister's suddenly like, why don't you just... And I was like, oh my God, I'm out. This movie is fucking bonkers.
Yeah.
The second time
Yeah.
through, and I think today was probably my third watch. As I'm watching this movie more, of course, I've seen a lot more De Palma since then, so I'm just geeking out the whole time. It is like camera movement and shot design and stuff. But also, you know, I think if you know that's coming and it's not like a shovel to the face plot wise, you can kind of piece together, they're giving you enough to work with where, you know, he is protecting her, but it becomes clear that it's more than just that's my sister. And it's a lot more like, you know, possessive. But I don't think it's incest possessive. I think it is just like, this is my sister who I own, right? I've given her money. She
Right.
is mine. Just like an employee. How dare you accost my employee and make her less, right? She's better
Just
than
like a
me.
pimp.
She's clean from this life. Let's keep her clean, and you're dirtying my sister, right?
Right.
Mm.
See, he was acting more like a pimp.
Well,
Yeah.
except
Like,
that
it
he was
just
never
very strange.
He was never pimping her out. He was never hooking her up
True.
with guys. He was never making money. He was always helping her. So go back and watch it later. Next time you watch
the
this
problem
movie.
is, with every relationship in this movie, I can think of another movie that does that relationship better.
Mm.
Like Road to Perdition is about a gangster who's trying to keep his son innocent.
Mm.
Fantastic movie. Blow, a movie where you have someone who gets very high up in drug trafficking, and who has like a character arc, and the character is complex, right? He gets
Mhm.
to the top and he decides, he realizes that this is not all it's cracked up to be. I need to get out of this or I'm going to die. And he tries like hell to get, you know what I mean? To
Mhm.
get out of it. And then it, you know, obviously I'm not going to tell you the end of the movie, but like it's a complex character arc and it's just good. And this movie just was like,
It's gratuity.
This movie was there
it
first.
Was gratuity.
Both
It was
those movies you
gratuity.
described, both those movies came out after this one. They both learned from this movie.
Yeah, and it just I guess you're right. But yeah.
Question for you. How many of you, when you were in college, had roommates or neighbors who had a Road to Perdition poster on their wall?
0.
None.
Well, 1, but I worked for a movie theater, so I know people that, but that's irrelevant.
Because I mean, I'm doing the shrug thing, but it's an audio podcast. Like,
Yeah.
This movie, I don't think any of us are going to argue that this is like the best gangster movie or even the best movie of 1983, directed by Brian De Palma. But
I don't even know that this is a gangster movie. Like I mean, I know that they're gangsters, but they're not gangsters in the sense of like they're not like mobsters.
It's just a different version of like when you watch, if you ever watch,
it's a cartel movie.
Yeah,
it's a drug movie,
which is it's a gangster film for Cuba.
Don't be a gatekeeper, George. The Italians aren't the only gangsters.
Right.
I guess that's true.
I mean,
but like
you
drugs,
have the Russian mafia.
Drugs are definitely the line between mob and cartel or something else.
It's not the 50s anymore, man.
But that's what the whole Godfather was about, wasn't it?
Yeah, they
right.
Stay
it was
drugs.
the drugs that was the line, right?
In the 50s, but then the whole thing in The Godfather was that they were gonna start doing the drug sales because everybody else was.
But it was the same thing in Goodfellas. Like Goodfellas was all organized crime, cigarettes and alcohol and this and that, cars.
Yep.
And money laundering, and then all of a sudden, when they hit the 80s, Henry gets involved in cocaine and this and that, and Jimmy's like, I told you to stay away from that. Like, you stay away from that drugs.
It's not
old
the
school.
mob anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
When you get the drugs involved.
To be fair, the mob never existed to begin with. So, you know.
Don't forget to stir the sauce.
I mean, really though, Scarface is a better Godfather Part 3 than Godfather Part 3.
Yeah.
So, whatever. That's an unnecessary shot at that movie, but it sucks.
Can we take a minute to talk about Al Pacino's performance?
Yeah.
In this movie.
It's there.
How do we all feel about it?
I mean, it's iconic. It's iconic, but it's so over the top. It's so over the top, but it's so iconic. It's like Jim Carrey in Ace Ventura. It's so over the top, but it fits within the movie.
I think that Al Pacino is about as good as doing accents as Dan Green.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
He
he did not hang out with
cannot-
any Cubans.
cannot not sound Italian.
No.
I'm pretty
It's
sure at the time this
impossible.
movie came out, he was like bragging about how much time he spent learning the accent with actual like Cuban individuals and like,
Yeah, sure.
and he felt great
It's
about
so
it.
bad.
Oof.
Yeah, it's.
Ooh,
I mean, it's cute, but it's not accurate.
It's so weird.
No.
And it's so strange for me when you see him in the first Godfather movie, where he's basically just like a Dustin Hoffman clone. And I think that's probably how he got cast. I bet you $1 that they were like, oh, yeah, we'll get Dustin Hoffman and he'll be Michael and it'll be great. And somebody's like, he's not quite Italian enough and he's really busy. And so they're like, oh, okay, let's go find an Italian guy who's not doing anything. And they found Pacino and they're like, oh, close enough. He's good,
Yeah.
you know? But then
he
by
killed
this
it.
point, people
He
are like,
slayed in the Godfather.
He's
though.
so good.
Because he had class. It was subdued. There was actual choices being made acting wise.
oh, they were making some choices in this movie, though.
This movie was just so over the top.
He was so good in Godfather that I didn't even realize he was Al Pacino until he was sitting in that chair.
Yep.
That's how
Yeah.
good.
Which I think says a lot more about how his career has gone since then and what he's become as an
But-
actor.
To be
Sure.
fair, you did watch Beetlejuice and then didn't recognize Winona Ryder the following week in Scissorhands. So
Even though your wife pointed her out and went, hey, it's Winona Ryder.
Yeah, right.
you know the one next to
Oh.
John Mayer.
Yeah. Oh God.
He's playing slide with both hands.
I can't catch a break.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. But all in all, I don't want to say I liked it, but I didn't hate it.
I look forward to watching it again soon. Like, it's totally rewatchable. It's weirder and funnier every time I watch it. And I can't explain
Like
why.
even the siege at the end
Oh, my God.
just comes out of nowhere. Like
Oh my
it's,
God.
it's like they basically had a call sheet and a shoot schedule, and they're like, okay, these are the scenes we need in this movie to make sense.
I mean, he yelled at the
And-
speakerphone connected to his satellite phone, you want to go to war? And then they did. They went to war.
I don't know. And then who was the whole Terminator thing at the end? Like, just the guy standing there with the shades. Was that Joe Biden? I couldn't really tell.
Yeah, it was.
He had like the aviators on.
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, I trying to recognize the guy. Was like that the guy from earlier in the movie?
I
No,
don't
he
think
was
so.
just
Was
the
he part of the
most-
siege?
He was the
Just some guy.
most, like,
It was just some guy.
stealthy of the... I don't know.
Okay.
It was a weird choice for the stealthy guy to be carrying, like, a short barrel shotgun.
Yeah.
Guns, 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 guys.
Guns.
But, like, for him to be sneaky, 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 kablam! You know? And then that's the beginning of the fight. And then he continues, sneaky, 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 sneaky.
Right.
sneaky. Meanwhile, the whole place is exploding, right? And I was trying to count up Pacino's first magazine when he's using that M16.
Oh, the one with the
Oh,
55
God.
caliber bullets in
Oh,
it.
Well, he's got
please.
an M16 with an M203 grenade launcher, which is a totally standard grenadier loadout for the military in the 80s. Like, that's what you would do.
God,
One guy out of like
God.
4 or 5 guys in your squad, one of them would have that. So
Yes,
so far
absolutely.
I'm fine with it.
It's for
But
using the trees.
the thing is, his first magazine of regular rifle ammo had at least 120 shots before he
Yeah.
reloaded, which
Oh yeah.
that's a 30-round magazine. So that was
Mhm.
impressive
Nice.
for him to be able to stretch it like that. But I like the use of the grenade launcher. I thought that was actually pretty technically sound as far as like
it was not only technically but tactically sound.
I'm not sure that he made it a full 50 feet between him
And-
and the door, so I don't think it actually would have exploded. Also, I think blowing up your security like that, the door itself is providing security, man. Like, make them come to you. Don't give them an open door. Not
But give them the best one-liner in the movie.
That's true. And he was on like a pile of cocaine at that point.
That's true. And you know what's funny about that? The iconic line is he delivered that line to nobody,
Right.
to a closed door.
Well,
He
he's
delivered
hoping
it
they
to
can
the
hear it.
audience.
I never realized that.
Yeah.
I always thought that he was like entered a room with a bunch
Mhm.
of people and delivered that line. No.
It's because you probably saw it in Ace Ventura 2 where he grabs the skunk and he says, say hello to my stinky little friend. And he lifts his tail
So
and
bad.
sprays everybody.
I vaguely remember that, but no, I mean, seriously, like yeah,
Yeah.
he delivered that line to a
To a door.
door.
He's a door.
You know
He's
what
a
I think is
window.
an
don't-
interesting choice by De Palma in that final fight? He frames up and executes at least 2 classic like Wilhelm scream falls.
Mm. Mhm,
But he
mhm.
doesn't use that scream. But your brain, if you're a film nerd, you're like ready for it. You're like, oh, here we go. Oh, it's not Spielberg.
I thought I heard it and then I didn't. I
Yeah,
was like,
no,
oh,
you
that-
expect it because they frame it up like, oh, here it comes, classic movie moving, and then no.
George is looking at me like, what are you guys talking
I know
about?
what you're talking about.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about.
Nice. Yeah, I was expecting it and it never
It
happened.
never happens, and you're just like, damn,
payoff.
where's my Wilhelm scream?
Was it? I know it was used back then, but was it so tropey in '83?
Oh, yeah. No,
Jedi came out in '83.
Yeah, it's already a trope. I think it
Okay.
started in the 70s, like early 70s, late 60s. So it could have been, and he didn't, and it's a choice not to use it, and I like that.
Nice.
I like the lack of it because it makes me go, wait,
Something's not right here.
as he shoots off his 400th round of ammunition from one.
Mm.
But then they make such a point for him to reload later. I'm like, wow, why didn't he just have reloading the whole time? Plus, he's like, at one point, he's like shot and he can't use one of his arms. And he's still manually operating this whatever. It's a movie.
It's definitely a movie.
It's a movie. Say hello to my diminutive companion. Like, oh my God. My favorite shot of the movie, though, guys, you're going to love this, or you're going to not care about this at all. There's the scene with Michelle Pfeiffer is by the pool, and I believe it is Frank's pool,
Mm-hmm.
and Tony's there, and he's like, hey, girl, what's up? And she's sitting down. So he's on the left, she's in the middle, but before that, he rolls a drink cart over. Do you remember this part?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way that shot is set up, you would expect it to be what they call a 2-shot, right? And they have a lot of 2 shots in this movie where it's one person on the left, one person on the right, and they're kind of talking to each other and they're framed up traditional movie style.
Right.
De Palma instead sets this up as a 3-shot with Tony on the left, Pfeiffer in the middle, and then a bottle of J&B on a cart in the spot where there should be a third character.
Interesting.
Now, to you guys, you might be like, well, who cares?
I
It's
know.
scotch, whatever.
I know.
But our listeners know. J&B,
I know.
the official beverage of
Of giallo.
every Jell-O. De Palma's a Jell-O guy. So
Nice.
he did that on purpose. He made the J&B a third character equal in scope to those other 2 for just one scene. And then I was
He's
just like,
talking to you. He was talking to you.
It's
He's
like,
like,
damn.
this is for Dan.
and I sent a shot to Aaron. I was like, Aaron, you ever notice this? Aaron, hit us in the comments, man. What you think? Do my Jell-O dance. You can't see it.
That's good stuff.
Did you guys watch White Lotus yet?
No.
It's a really good show. Second season features a grandfather, played by F. Murray Abraham, who's like this old horn dog. He's hilarious. It was kind of shocking to see
Murray
him
Abraham.
strangled and thrown from a helicopter
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in this. I was like, damn, grandpa. Damn.
So, one of the better scenes in the movie, I think, was the attempted hit on the random guy who's giving a speech at the UN.
Yes.
Oh, the car?
Very,
I
very
hate-
tense.
I hated the plot. That like this guy who's. I mean, I maybe I missed who this guy is. I just thought he was like a random guy who's whistleblowing, and my gut was like, why do they even care about this guy? Like,
Do you remember when they're in Bolivia earlier in the movie and the Sosa guy puts on Oh my God. While we're talking about this, he puts it on a projector. Do you remember this scene? He puts like a news clip of this guy that they're going to kill
Yeah.
on the projector. And the projector, the camera, your view of it as a viewer, you see like a red, blue, and green, like the filter lenses, like a fancy projector of the 80s. But then when they cut to what you're actually watching, it is like a static image, freeze frame of a dude in the foreground and like a cutout spot. And they're just like playing the clip in the middle of this. It's the cheapest, weirdest thing. Very odd choice. Go back and look at that scene. It's freaking weird.
Yeah. So I wasn't like super happy with that plot. Because I just felt like these international guys, like, I mean, who cares about a whistleblower? And then how, like, it's got to be, it's got to be Scarface that, escorts the dude around. It's like, you just pay some random guy who's not connected to you to do this. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder why Oliver Stone made it a point for this character who's pretty high ranking to have to be involved in an assassination.
So
yeah,
that's one of my things. And then, but then the scene when they actually go to do it, and like the wife and kids are in the car, and yeah, it's so tense, and it's so like whatever. And he not only does he like, I mean, he literally could just stop the car, right? And just then, and the target car would be out of range, and that would be that. But he doesn't. He just is like, he just turns and fucking shoots the guy in the head. Like, that was amazing. It was so tense, and then like it comes up and it's like boom, and like obviously that is what escalates the entire ending. But like, I don't know, was that like the only not shitty decision that the character made in the entire movie?
Probably.
I think it was the first time they really highlighted he still had his humanity. I mean, they've been talking about in the movie this whole like, I like kids. You like kids? We should have kids. If we're gonna have kids, we're trying to have kids. We would have kids, except this dumb, like.
Yeah.
So you've built that into the character enough that it's not like undeserved in that moment, but I think they reward your faith a little bit that this horrible character you've been following the whole time, maybe there's still hope that there's a little bit of a good guy in there. And that's your one moment where you're just like, oh, good. He was only going to murder the human man and not the human woman and the human children. And instead he just shot that other man in the head. Like you do. Like, that's a weird thing movies do.
Fun fact. The guy he shot in the head in the car.
Yeah.
The whole time I'm watching it, I'm going, that's Mr. Shickadance from Ace Ventura. He's the the landlord. I hear animals in there, Ventura. Like, I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, oh my God, that's where I know him from. But he's so young, but he's still bald.
Yeah.
Like, it's still the same guy, but there's so many faces in this movie because I think one of the henchmen in Ace Ventura that stole Dan Marino and Snowflake was in this movie. He was one of Tony Montana's right-hand man. So I'm like seeing all these faces, and I thought I saw Taggart from Beverly Hills Cop towards the beginning without a mustache, but I don't know if it was John Ashton or not. I tried looking on his, but it was such a small part. It was towards the beginning. I think they were still in like the beginning stages of his character, but I was just like, so many people popping up, and then I totally forgot Michelle Pfeiffer was in this movie.
How?
Because I haven't seen it in like 30 years, 20 years. I mean, this is a long time since I've seen this movie.
She plays a pretty significant role.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you think? Was I kind of like on point with my review here?
Yeah. What kind of grade would you give it? Like a scale of 1 to 10.
Scale of 1 to 10. I was gonna give it a letter grade, but
how many little friends would you give it?
How many diminutive companions?
Out of 10 diminutive companions, I give it 6.
A 6. Is it better than Beetlejuice?
No, not even close.
Can you imagine if someone went up to Brian De Palma and said Beetlejuice is better than Scarface?
If you ever get to interview Brian De Palma or talk with him or meet him or whatever, just
Let him know.
tell him that I think Beetlejuice is better.
Well, we'll show you some good Brian De Palma someday, and you'll be like, "Oh, this is why Dan likes it, because it's like his weird Italian movies."
Yeah, I mean, there were some things in there that worked.
The camera work. I really feel like if I were trying to guess from this movie, when it was that the producers convinced Brian De Palma to shoot this movie, it had to be that chase scene with the UN guy, because you can feel like the energy in the room change. Every shot matters. It really feels like he's really at his like apex during that scene. So I wonder if like he was looking forward to it the whole time. You know, okay, we'll shoot this other stuff. Let's get this done. Okay, club, yeah, it looks fine. Okay, dancing, sure. Soundtrack, whatever. I just got to get this one scene because he fucking nails it. And it's like a way different scene than the rest of the movie.
You said we were going to discuss the music.
Oh my God, guys, the music. Okay.
Dude.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm not a big 80s music pop guy. I like radio pop, but like this weird, I don't know what this is, like club pop. I don't like the music in this movie very much, but I saw this movie after I'd already beaten Grand Theft Auto 3. Now, let me take you all back to the early 2000s. PlayStation 2's all the rage. The 2D over-the-top Grand Theft Auto games are getting a new 3D game, and my hands are all messed up, and you're going to have to drive, brother? Like, 2 people thought that was funny. Thanks to you guys. Did you guys ever play Grand Theft Auto 3?
No.
No.
It was the first really, really like you're in a world kind of crime games. You know, it's as much an experience as it is a video game. You know, you're living the life of this nameless goon as he basically lives out a very similar, you know, definitely Scarface inspired, Godfather kind of inspired mobster, you know, ascent, right? From low level guy to the top guy, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the best games of all time. I can't believe you guys haven't played it, but I'm not surprised. Here's the thing.
I've played, you know, GTA, but not like I'm not like a huge.
But GTA 3 was the first one when it went from a game that's kind of cute to like, oh, we're going to make all the money with these games.
Yeah.
GTA 3 has a radio station called like Flashback FM that plays pretty much this entire soundtrack, and I did not know that. So the last time I watched this movie, I was like, why am I singing along to Rush Rush with the Yayo or whatever? Why do I know all these fucking songs? And it's because
was that the song? I felt like every time they danced in this movie, it was to the same song.
3 of the songs sound like they're the exact same song. I'm pretty sure they're in the same key. And if you wanted to make a mashup of the 3, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't even have to change the BPM.
Okay, I thought it was all the same song. Like every time they were like about to dance, it was the same song.
No, because there's one that's like actually a Cuban song at the beginning. And then at the club, it's the Rush Rush with the Yayo. It's the lady from Blondie, I think, singing that one. And then there's like a third song too. And then there's that, you know, standing on the razor's edge. That one, which, you know, you guys laugh because you've heard it in this movie. But the nerds who've played GTA 3 a lot are like, yeah, gotta feel it. Dun, dun, dun. You know, like, it's just, you hear that song 1,000 times playing Grand Theft Auto 3. You're like, oh, yeah, it's in my brain. The follow-up to Grand Theft Auto 3 was Vice City, which is essentially the video game novelization of this movie. Where you play as a guy who's not quite Tony Montana, and you take over a like a big mansion that's not quite this guy's mansion, but you have pretty much the same gunfight. And then there's like still half the game to go. Buy-in properties, buy-in clubs. The missions where you're in a car and you're chasing a car about 30 yards back, and then you have to not lose them, or you're putting car bombs on cars. Like, this whole movie, I mean, shit, there's a fucking chainsaw in Vice City because it knows exactly what it's doing.
Interesting.
Yeah, Vice City is Scarface, the video game, but the soundtrack is in the original GTA 3. And like, there's even shots like, okay, so the chainsaw scene, the way the camera's mounted as they like walk up the stairs to enter the apartment, that is the camera angle they use in GTA to introduce a lot of missions. And so like watching it today,
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh fuck, like this is the old PlayStation 2 generation Grand Theft Auto. Just 20 years earlier.
That's cool.
It's crazy.
And you guys know
That's
how
cool.
much money those games make. Like
Oh, absolutely.
GTA 5 has been released for 3 different console generations.
It's crazy.
And it just keeps pumping out the money. And it's a lot of it has to do with the iconography they borrowed directly from this movie.
It's a trendsetter. Hence why we
Iconic,
watched
man. Iconic.
Yeah.
Is it good though? I don't know. It's fun. Say hello to my little friend. Like,
Yeah, I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna go with it's not good.
I think
But-
you fell down the well again. Oh shit!
Yeah.
We should end every episode with that.
did you hear the end of the last one?
Yes.
So good.
Oh shit!
Oh,
So I've been
God.
looking at his IMDb. We could
Whose?
probably just do a whole season of De Palma.
Dude, De Palma's
think.
so fucking good. He's such a good director.
It's so eclectic. Like I'm just looking at it, it's like there's so many movies that just have nothing to do with each other.
Well, and here's the thing. I can make a serious argument, and maybe someday we'll do a mini episode, one of those 10-minute jobs. Without Brian De Palma, I don't think that you get the Friday the 13th or any of the Halloween sequels the way that they are without De Palma. There's some elements in Friday the 13th, especially that are just like, hey, did you see that De Palma movie? Let's do that. Which,
Mm.
you know, aren't present in Halloween. So it came from somewhere, and I guarantee it was De Palma. And then Halloween 2, the whole like getting shot in the eyes, blood raining down on the
Yeah.
mask image is just a copy paste from a De Palma movie. Just like, oh, that looked great when De Palma do it. Let's just do it with Michael Myers. Boom. There's
And
your
I
ending.
had no idea that. I know we won't watch this, but that he directed Phantom of Paradise.
Oh my God. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yes,
Dude.
but I didn't know that was a De Palma.
That movie's fucking weird. And it's
very
good.
body double.
But the
Yeah, so-
music in Phantom of the Paradise actually really rocks in a way that it shouldn't rock. Okay, George, do you want to watch a 73-ish?
74.
A 1974 musical, kind of Phantom of the Opera, kind of a rock musical, directed by the guy from Scarface, with music written by a guy you've never heard of? Rock musical?
I mean,
Let me send
I
you a
am
picture of the
into
mask.
rock musicals, but no.
We'll pop it in when we do a season of like Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Hold
and-
on. I'm going to
and
send him a
Little
picture
Shop
of the
of
guy's
Horrors.
mask, just so that George can understand the opportunity that he has in front of him. Do you want to watch a movie, George, starring a man who wears that mask?
Still no.
Oh my God, let me tell you, it fucking rocks, and I don't know why. It should be bad. Everything about that picture I sent you says this movie will be garbage.
Yeah.
It's actually really good.
Yeah, it's garbage, but it's good garbage. It's like Silent Night, Deadly Night, I think.
No, it's actually good. It's good.
It's
Critically good.
Uh,
Jesse from Diabolic DVD, one of the best places to buy DVDs online because they ship in a box no matter what, unlike Amazon. Jesse posts all the time about how he likes Phantom of the Paradise, and I'm like, man, I see you. I'm gonna add him.
Do it.
Jesse, Phantom of the Paradise, fucking good. But we're not watching that, not anytime soon.
No.
But you should watch that.
But what we are going to watch.
Ooh, are we doing this already,
Are we
George?
at that point?
What are we gonna watch next week?
I don't know.
What do you want to
Something
watch?
good.
What do I want to watch?
How about Dancing in the Dark, the music video?
He directed Relax for Frankie Goes to Hollywood. As
Yes, he did. And he features that song heavily in Body Double.
well. Mm-hmm.
I dare say Body Double and Blowout are my 2 favorite movies of the 80s.
Really?
I'm not sure what order, though. Which one's better? I can't tell you.
Mm.
They're way different and also way the same.
Interesting.
That's actually, I probably can't support that now that I think about all the other good 80s movies. But
Yeah.
I really love Blowout. It's so fucking good. Like, top 5 for the 80s, probably.
Really?
Yeah. And Body Double's really good. It's just so, it's like this. It's kind of like, he's almost like fucking with us by making it so much over the top. But it's good. It's fun.
I remember seeing Body Double like late night Cinemax kind of.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be watching.
It's got a vibe.
Yeah, but it's not like it's not a soft corn. It's soft corn.
I love soft corn.
It's soft
You know how many
corn.
things you can make with corn?
Yeah,
I'm gonna list
You
them
can
all
make
right
shrimp
now.
corn. and-
It's not quite Shannon Tweed,
no,
but if Shannon
it's-
Tweed were in it, it would make sense.
it would make sense.
Yeah.
Yes, and I would watch that.
Yeah. And I would
Shannon-
watch Body Double.
Shannon Tweed.
It's really good and kind of weird.
Starring Bill Maher.
Hey, so what are we actually watching next week?
Next week.
Are we just a hard transit? Just because, I mean, we've kind of come to the end of a little
Yeah.
bit of a journey here, right? We had Michelle Pfeiffer. We got her from Batman Returns. Now we're here with this, so you can see where she came from. George, do you understand now why Catwoman casting was such a big deal? Because, like, I mean, it's Michelle Pfeiffer. She's in Scarface and Grease 2.
Yeah,
Grease
she's
2
Catwoman.
was
absolutely.
So, anyway, tell us what we're watching next week, Trav.
Next week we are watching a movie
Mm-hmm.
containing some actors
Okay.
that you may not know, and a director that you may not know.
Okay.
Full of people that you might recognize after we tell you who they are.
Okay.
Um,
And it's another Friday the 13th kind of reference. Go on.
yes, it's another classic that you should have seen. So,
Okay. Very good.
It's going to really
Um,
make the Friday the 13th Part 7 conversation seem a lot more reasonable.
yes.
Okay.
So we are going to watch the 1973, 74, 73, 76.
76.
Hike. 76, I think. I think it's like
Hike.
76. Carrie.
Isn't that the movie that you maybe
We talked about it a few times.
didn't we talk about it like a lot during a Halloween
No.
movie?
You
Jesus
just
Christ.
said it.
Friday
just-
7, when he fights
Jesus
essentially Carrie,
Christ.
is the one we talked about it a lot. The telekinetic one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you know about Carrie?
Nothing.
Nothing.
0.
Do we tell him anything? or
No. I mean, I already mentioned the telekinetic thing, so that's probably a big
Yeah.
giveaway. But
So no story origin or any of that.
any idea who wrote
authors, whatever.
the source for Carrie before it was a
No.
movie? Okay, cool. Well, you're in for a
Cool.
treat, my man.
Sang. I just pushed my hair back. Wait, I
So
have no-
good.
right behind my ears. Okay.
Browsing the cast list real quick because I haven't seen this in a while.
Oh, it's a lot of faces. that
and I'm
George
just like,
has seen.
oh, I forgot. Oh, I forgot. Oh, I forgot. Like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, this is gonna be
It's a who's who.
this is gonna be good. Or, no, actually, I think you'll like this one, George. Who knows though? I thought you'd like
Okay.
Scarface because you love a tragedy, and here we are.
I think the tragedy is not the problem with Scarface. I just think it's a fucking mess.
Man, but that's
It's a mess.
the way that they got the splash when he hits the water at the end.
Oh god, that was so
The
good.
way that they got that blood to splash as
Mhm.
like the
Yeah.
primary thing instead of the water, like he must have landed like on a blood bag or something to make that happen. So masterfully shot. Holy
that was
moly.
really
It
great.
would have been really good if I wasn't sitting there thinking the whole time, "Where's the Wilhelm scream?"
I know.
The whole time.
So many
Every
times.
time someone
You're
fell,
just
I'm
like,
like,
oh,
"Where is it?"
it's there. No, I didn't put it there. Oh, how about that? Oh, fuck. They didn't.
Nope, not there either.
He's fucking with you, man.
Even the guy coming from the helicopter. Nope.
Yeah,
not
I
there
think
either.
by 83, De Palma was just like, you know what? I'm just going to fuck with the audience, and there's nothing they can do. And here we are victimized.
I was really surprised the guy that getting thrown from the helicopter never hit the ground.
Well, they hung him.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't
He
expecting
kinda had
that.
something impeding.
I was
his
expecting
progression.
them to throw him out of the helicopter and for him to hit the ground and die.
See,
But
surprises are good.
yeah,
Mm.
I was like, oh.
And that's how we hope you reacted when you listened to this episode. Actually, that's how I, Dan, hope you reacted when you listened to our Friday the 13th mini episode we put out last week. So, if you haven't done that, get back to it. It's only like 11 minutes long, and it is pure joy. Guys, thank you for listening to the Remedial Film Class podcast. We'll be back next week with Stephen King's Carrie, directed by Brian De Palma. Don't tell George. He has no idea, and he's not going to remember who Brian De Palma is. That's just how he operates. But anyway, we'll be back next week with some telekinetic prom activities. And John Travolta? Awesome. See you then.